Hi, and welcome back to my channel, where we have easy listening all day, talking about relationships and how we can fix them. But as always, let's get started with a brand new track by Rebecca Lynn Pope.
I said some things inside of the Divine Dating workshop as women were asking me questions that I realized there were some main key points that I have not probably said publicly, but I was saying them inside of class. And I could tell some of them were really shocked by some of the things that I had to say. One of those things being, and now this video is going to need to come with a couple of warning labels, because I'm sure it's going to trigger some of you. Some of you are not going to want to hear what I have to say. But let's just remember, I'm married. Okay? Been married a couple times. Okay? I know what it is to get married, attract a husband, date someone, convert, court, get engaged, be married, right? So I'm going to take my time. One, I have gotten in trouble before for saying black women who want to exclusively marry black men, we are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies that black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics. It is not a figment of your imagination that there are not enough eligible black men to marry.
And I'm going to listen to a little bit more of what she says, but I did want to make sure I put my stamp right there, because for the people that have been watching my channel know that I do challenge a lot of these statistics. Sometimes I lean into them and sometimes I challenge them depending upon the situation and what they're talking about. So a lot of times, even though it's a Christian, channel, I am playing devil's advocate by trying to make sure that we are, being balanced, like I said, with everything and not just jumping into one bucket or another. So I'm going to let her talk, but I wanted to make sure I put my stamp right there so it backs up everything that I've been talking about on this channel.
By the time you take that black people are only 11% of the population, black men being half of that 11%, by the time you remove the gay men, by the time you remove the mass incarceration, that when you see the populations of these prisons, and it is predominantly black men that are, these prisons are full of black men, full, at an exponential rate compared to our percentage of society. We're only 11% of the population, but the prisons are full of black men. You take out the men who are already married. You take out the men who are on the down low, gay, pretending to be straight, but ain't never going to marry a woman. Or if they do, they're bearding, faking, fronting, whatever. Inside of the still group of eligible black men in the dating pool, you still now, under heterosexual black men who are not married and who are not gay and who are not in prison, are still going to be your gold tooth, pants sagging dudes who have 0 sense. That's still inside of that number. Black men have come at me when I say there's not enough eligible men, and they push back at me. But one of the things I've realized about good black men is that you don't realize that, first of all, there's not a gazillion more like you. I've noticed this even with my husband. There's a lack of awareness around what is eligible and the availability of black men.
Okay, now that's a good point. She made a good point right there. Even though she still hasn't dropped a number, any type of tangible number, what she says right there is a good point. And I've even had people in the comments talk to me about that. And I've even had, when I walked around, and I've had, black women to say, Jay, there's not a lot of guys like you. But I get what she's saying. I get what these women out here are saying, but I also hang around with a lot of men, black, white, Latino, Asian men, that have come out, and I just don't see women going after them. I just don't see it. If I was all that, much of a commodity when I walk through the grocery store, I would have more women trying to, make eye contact with me. I would, anytime I go somewhere, I would have a lot more black women trying to get at me. Even when I'm dressed up, like in a suit or something like that, you would think black women would just be on me like that, but they're not. And see, that's the side of it that she doesn't see. That's the side of it that a lot of black men are trying to say, no, we're here. We're trying to get in front of black women. We're waving our arms around saying, hey, we don't have our pants sagging. Hey, we are not, trying to line up with Pookie and Ray Ray. And as soon as we do that, we actually have other people on YouTube that are basically calling us educated lames. So there is this thing where a lot of black women literally just don't see us. And I'm just not going to allow her I know she's well respected. I know she knows her stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I think here, this is just too much pain inside of black men. It's too much pain for the black man that is doing a decent life and is trying to do it. And like I say, maybe he's not the most attractive. And again, I'm not hearing her right now talking about that being a part of it. Because I do understand that, women are attracted to a certain thing. They want to look at a certain thing. That's why I'm always telling men, get in the gym, get your clothes right. I even just put a video out here. I was surprised I only had like 150 hits in the first 2 days. But again, it's like I'm trying to explain about beauty. I'm trying to explain all these things, but people are overlooking. I always think it's interesting. People overlook the very video that they need to watch, and then they go after the video that triggers them.
Thinks so many men are just like him, that there's just really a bunch of Carrie Popes running around that are solid, hard-working, intelligent, marriage material, mature, grown men who want to be responsible and want to build a family. And I'm like, Carrie Pope, no. So ladies, by the time you take out the rappers, the gold teeth, the sagging pants, the young ones who just ain't even ready for marriage, now you got a whole other demographic of black men who have sworn off black women. Whole movements created to completely giving up on black women. Completely. That black women are not marriage material.
Now, again, on that one, we don't have numbers on that, but I understand that is a big thing. It is a big thing, and you have more and more men out here. Probably a lot of you guys that are watching right now have given up on black women. Many of you have given up on modern women or American women, Western women. These are all, terms that we use to talk about that. So I do believe that. And I do think we're going to see numbers on that maybe in another 3 to 5 years, where people have really kind of locked it in and they're saying 10%, 15%, 20%, because I think those are the numbers right now that might be hurting the most. But again, I'm not seeing the demand. I'm not seeing the demand like she's saying it, because anytime you pull something out, you should be creating demand. Does this all make sense? It's like if you say all the pizza companies in America, and y'all know we eat a lot of pizza in America. So if you said, hey, tomorrow there's only going to be Papa John's, and they're not going to make new locations, it's just going to be Papa John's. So you're going to get rid of Pizza Hut, you're going to get rid of Marco's, you're going to get rid of, Little Caesars, all these other places, and it's only going to be Papa John's. How much money do you think Papa John's will make? Don't you think that all of a sudden they would triple, if not quadruple, their profit? Why? Because more people are going to be coming to them to get their pizza. And what I'm not seeing is a lot of decent, educated black men fighting women off. See, that's the whole thing. They're not fighting women off. And they're not in a situation where they can basically build them a team of black women, even on that. what I see instead is black men struggling the same way I see black women struggling. Educated black men, from ages 25 all the way up to 55, 60, because those are the men in my group. And I'm looking at these men, and I've seen these men, and I even asked the women in my group, is that man attractive? And they'll be like, oh yeah, he looks good. And again, these men are not talking about they're fighting black women off. So there is a disconnect somewhere because black men are saying, no, you don't want us. And black women are saying, no, you don't want us. And that's one of the main reasons why, like I say, on this channel, I'm trying to find that balance because I know that there's something in there. If both sides are saying something, I think that there's truth to both sides, but we have to find out what's the core, what's in the middle.
And that black women are not wife material. Not all of black men, but there's a percentage of black men who feel that way. And all these daggone gender wars on social media and all the men who are beefing in, they've been hurt by 2 black women in their life. And now they're writing off all black women. And black women don't do that. Black women been dogged by black men, drugged by black men, completely ran over and heartbroken by black men, but still don't give up on black men. Black men, on the other hand, whole demographic of black men just giving up on black women. There are Facebook groups of black men who are dedicated to hurting black men who want to blame black women for all their problems, as if a white woman or a Latino woman, somebody who don't want you, by the way, are going to deal with your shenanigans and craziness because they got even higher standards.
Okay, so I gotta stop it right there. And I kind of understand what she's saying right there, because there have been a lot of black women that have gone through hell and back, so to speak, when it comes to men. But I think, again, we have to keep it balanced because I think that there's this assumption that black men, just because they're black, they've had certain experiences. And I think that that's the side of it that, she's not quite seeing. But I do believe that there are a lot of black women who have had it very difficult. I do believe that there are a lot of black women who have had black men to treat them poorly, but then they're still staying in that bucket. And this has been one of the things that I'm constantly saying. At the very beginning of a relationship, it is the woman who opens the door to the relationship. The relationship can't even start until the woman opens the door. And what I've noticed is that, and I think this is really where a lot of the pain comes in, that again, she's not really talking about, is that door needs to come open. And it doesn't need to come open for just any black man. It needs to come open for good black men. And what's happening is that door a lot of times is not opening for the right type of black man. And so the black men that are frustrated are not the same Pookie and Ray Rays that she's talking about that are mistreating black women. It is the men that are upset are the ones that can't even get the door open. The women won't open the door. And so they're getting frustrated and they're saying, why in the world am I banging my head up against the wall? So I might as well just leave. And so those are the men that are really frustrated. And that's why I said, a lot of the men that are around me would be considered by a lot of these people as educated lames. That's the whole concept. It's a guy who's not necessarily all that much fun. He's the type, he's like a Russell Wilson. He'll take care of you. He'll marry you. He'll take care of your kids, but he's not fun. And we have to recognize there are a lot of black women that's just as ghetto as Pookie and Ray Ray. Right? And then a lot of these black women are complaining. And then you got black women that come from a different type of background, but because Pookie and Ray Ray all on TV, they think that's who they're supposed to be with. And so they go talk to them instead of, again, talking to the really great guy that's right next to them. So again, it's hard for me to fully dive in. I understand her different points and I understand the pain that black women are going through. But I also have to make sure that if that is true, if everything she's saying is true, that means when I go into, if I go to my church next week and I get in there early and I see where all the single men are sitting, generally, like I said, 25 all the way up to 45, 50, I am going to believe that the desire of the women is so strong that all these men will be married within a year if they want to be, or at least be in some kind of relationship. And again, that's not what I'm seeing.
Raises them to have higher standards than black women. So you gotta step up in order to even date a white or other woman, because their culture teaches them to marry into financial security for a man to be a provider and protector. It's in their culture.
Now, again, I agree. I 100% agree with that. And that's one of the reasons why I tell you guys, even if you are going to go overseas, I'm not going to fight you about going overseas, but if you are going to go overseas, you've got to be the three things. You got to be the protector, the provider, and the leader. There is no excuse. There is none. And I agree with her 100%. If you go to Colombia, if you go to Brazil, if you go to the Philippines, it doesn't matter where you go. The woman is looking for you to bring in some money, okay? And to protect her from harm. And if you're not doing that, you're not going to be able to find these women, because these women are literally trained that this is what the man does, this is what the woman does. And everybody stays in their lane.
So I'm in the gym the other morning. I'm on the treadmill. Black men working out all around. I look, I'm paying attention. A good third to half the black men I see in the gym are gay. Ladies, and that's not my imagination. Everywhere I look, it is gay black men. It doesn't matter why. We can talk about why. You can go into all the whys, ladies. It doesn't matter.
I was going to say that depends upon where you live. In Atlanta, we got a lot of gay people. And if you go inside of the perimeter, what they call the perimeter, which is like really close to downtown, yes, you're going to run into a lot of gay black men. And I'm going to be real. I kind of live right now almost at the border. And yeah, if I go south, I'm going to see them. If I go north, I generally don't.
I'm on the phone with my therapist this week. I'm saying to her, I've never been more happy. I'm in such a great place. So much peace and balance, and Carrie pays 95% of the bills. I've never been in a place where I did not have the financial pressure. I am provided for and taken care of. I still work, but I'm not under the pressure I was previously. And I said, Dr. Pam, that's my therapist. Dr. Pam, is this how white women feel? When a man is paying all the bills? I've never been here before. I'm just being honest with y'all. I've been 50-50. I've done my part. I've done more than my part. Y'all have been in course with me. I've been honest. I've paid 90% of the bills. I've been paying all the bills at times in different marriages. I've been in all the different situations. It's the first time in my life that a man is taking care of me. Thank you, Carrie Anthony Pope. But I said, this is the reality for a lot of other women.
Again, I got to stop it right there. We got to think about this logically. Less than 10% of men make over six figures. Again, we can look at numbers. We can look at charts. That's why when a woman says, hey, I want a man that makes six figures and I want him to be 6 feet tall and I want him to be Christian, you're now talking about 1 out of probably 1,000 men. Just simply because only, I think, 11 or 12% maybe of men are over 6 feet tall. And then, like I said, less than 10% of men make six figures. So once you put those together and you're talking about people being married and you're talking about people being Christian and a real Christian, it can really drop your numbers. Now, even if we just talk about the six figures right quick, the minimum that you really need in Atlanta, I can't say where she is, but in Atlanta, because I think she's here in Atlanta, but I don't remember where she is. I don't know if she's in Texas. But the minimum that you really need is about $140,000 to live comfortably. And more than likely, the way she's living is probably closer to $250,000, if not more. Once you start to go to a point of $140,000, I don't care if you're black, white, blue, or green, it is probably less than 7% of the men. And that is very difficult. It's very few white women that live like that. It's very few Latina women that live like that. That's just rare, period. So while I do think it is important that she brought that up, that's rare. And it's going to be extremely rare no matter who you marry.
This is the reality for a lot of Latin women, a lot of white women. This is what it feels like to not have the financial burdens of a household on you. Right now, I'm at my best. I don't wake up stressed. I'm able to lean into my feminine. I am cooking and healthy and watching, monitoring the things in the family, helping to take care of Carrie with his health and his food, and I'm ease and flow, and things are just so amazing. And I began to think, and my therapist said to me, she says, Rebecca, you are experiencing something that very few black women will ever experience. You are experiencing what very few black women will ever experience. This is from my therapist. My therapist is in her 50s. She's been a therapist for over 30 years. She is so experienced, so wisdom. But if you are a black woman right now, you watch this video on YouTube and you decide that I really do want to be married, Rebecca. One, this is what I said the other night in class. Please pray and open your heart to ask God to help you go beyond dating black men.
Again, I actually say find who you love wherever you find them. So if you're a black woman and you're watching and you want to date outside the race, hey, I agree with Rebecca Lynn Pope right there. And just, hey, do you find your perfect person?
To love and be loved is one of the biggest blessings in the whole wide world. And ladies, listen, you can say, Rebecca, I want a black man. I want a black man. I don't want to date other. Rebecca, I want a black man. That's fine. I'm married to a black man. I am not denying you a black man. I'm not. But I'm simply saying is that if you've been barking up that tree and that's not flowing for you and you don't have a ring on your finger and you're dating and the options you're getting are not marriage material, I'm saying that it is better for you to be loved by a good man rather than just a black man. I'm saying it is not meant for you as a woman to keep navigating life by yourself, paying all the bills by yourself, the pressure of independent single women. I just had lunch with my new friend, Iyabo, Dr. Iyabo. And she said, black men are black men. She's from Africa. And she said she's married to a white man now. And she said, it ain't no different with the African men. It's still the BS. We have a cultural issue, guys. Cultural issue.
I do agree with that. And in fact, I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube that I thought about doing some videos on. I think the black community as a whole is just not leveling up to where we need to be. Yes, we have some things that have happened to us in the past, but we can't constantly blame the past. Instead, we have to figure out solutions for the future. So I do agree with her when it comes to the fact that, yes, as a culture, there are things that we do need to fix. I think too many of us are just not leveling up. I do think a huge portion of us are. And, you know, to a lot of the points that I think people are really making when they're talking about getting married, it's really about the good portion of people finding the other good portion of people. And I really think that that's really the problem. I've always thought that, unfortunately, a lot of the times the men are very attracted to the women of the culture that aren't really that great. And the women are doing the exact same. So we'll again, let's listen to a little bit more. This video is starting to run a little long, but this video I'm watching is 25 minutes.
And if you want to be married, let me stay on point. If you want to be married, I am giving you my best advice. That the love of a good man doesn't matter if he's green, purple, yellow. It doesn't matter if he is daggone fuchsia. I would rather you as a woman know what it is to be loved and cared and provided for than to stay out here navigating life all by yourself. All by yourself. Waiting for a black man when they are few and far between. Those of you who are good men, black men, we love you and appreciate you. I'm not putting down black men, Aunt Weezy 86. I'm simply speaking about real life and real statistics, real numbers. There's not enough black men. You want to know why black women are the least married demographic?
Okay, so again, she's not giving numbers. There was a lady on another one of the videos that I put up here, and that lady literally said, you know, there are 83 single, heterosexual, you know, black men, not in jail, black men for every 100 black women. That has been the number that I've been using since I saw that video. My number previously was 88. But when she came in with 83, I liked it better. And then I love the fact that it was a black woman who said it, somebody that had researched it. And that way, nobody could come to me. Women can get down in the comments and say, no, you're wrong. Your numbers are wrong. You're just a man. No. It was a black woman who actually gave that information. And so that's really where I'm, you know, like I said, I diverge because, you know, again, if we're saying 83, we can say 8 to 10, you know, because that's, you know, we knocking off 3, you know, but 8 to 10. And when you start to talk about 8 to 10, those numbers aren't bad, you know, and people can try to make them sound like they're bad, but they're really not that bad if you are the top of the top. And one of the things about Rebecca Lynn Pope, which again, I don't know if she's going to talk about, but Rebecca Lynn Pope is a woman who wakes up at 5 like everybody else, but she's trying to push herself to 10. And even as you look at her right now, the fact that she's in the gym, and I've actually seen some other videos she's done, and she actually had a TV show at one time. And you can see by her clothes, by her style, everything she's doing, she's probably, for most men in her age range, she's probably a 9 out of 10. Right? I'm just going to be real. For most men in her age range, she's a 9 out of 10. And a woman that's a 9 out of 10 can command a different type of man. Again, I'm just being real. Men will bend over backwards for a beautiful woman, somebody that they think is beautiful. Now, every woman is beautiful. I talk about that on this channel all the time, but it's all about how you're going to push yourself up. If you don't understand that concept of beauty, my video is on there. It basically just talks about black women, and it says dating and beauty or something like that. And it's actually for men too. There's stuff in there for both, but you know, like I said, I know more women watch me.
Because there's not enough marriage material black men. If you are a woman, and black women are some of the most high achieving demographics of women on people on earth. Black women are pursuing next level education. Every black woman I know is got multiple degrees, graduate degrees, constantly pursuing goals, education, income, taking courses, trying to improve themselves. And at the end of the day, where are black men at? Okay,
so I think she actually just gave us the real clue, which is what I really thought she was going. Remember, everybody lives in their own bubble, right? I live in my own bubble. I'm not saying that, she's just, there's anything major wrong. I'm saying everybody lives in their own space. We all live in our own space. And she just said it by her own mouth that most of the women she knows are higher achieving women. Well, higher achieving women are the women that have it the most difficult, even if they're white, even if they're Asian, right? Because that is not necessarily what a lot of men want to marry. And see, that's why it's not as many black men, because of that piece of it. See, black men, if they have 3 degrees, they don't necessarily want their wife to have 3 degrees. And it also depends upon when you find these people. I believe in her current marriage, she ain't trying to have no kids. So at that point, her and her husband, they just kicking it. They kicking it. They kind of in retired space. They just going about their life. So if a man, meets a woman in that space, when his kids are grown and gone, he doesn't care about having a woman to be at home and to, take care of the kids and to do their homework with them. He doesn't care about that. So now it's a whole different type of woman. And see, this is the kind of stuff nobody wants to talk about. Like, there's different factors for different things in different spaces of life. A man that is looking to have children is thinking, okay, who's going to pick these kids up from school? And if he's upwardly achieving, he knows his wife cannot be upwardly achieving because somebody got to do it. And there could be the concept of, well, just get a nanny or get somebody like a driver. Because I've actually, like I told you, I've dated some women that are like millionaires and stuff. And that was their answer to me was, okay, well, we can get a driver and a nanny. And I'm like, I don't know if I want somebody else raising my kids. I don't know if I want a situation where their mom is not really in that space with them. And for those women, they thought that was a great answer. They thought that was just the best thing since sliced bread. But for me, it's kind of like, I really don't necessarily know if I want a woman that is spending more than 45 to 50 hours a week doing work. I really want her family to be the number one thing that she cares about. And so I think that's the disconnect. Because I knew I thought that probably is where she was going to lean into, but that's the disconnect. You have black women that are saying, hey, this is what we should be doing. We're upwardly mobile. And then you got a lot of black men saying, well, we don't necessarily want upwardly mobile women.
Where are they doing the work to make themselves marriage material? Because now the stakes are even higher. As black women have come into understanding of healing and emotional intelligence, now we don't only want a marriage material black man, you want an emotionally intelligent black man. Somebody who's doing their work too, spiritually, emotionally. Where they at? When I say that black men are in crisis, I'm not exaggerating. Ladies, our black men need therapy. They need deep healing work. They need generational healing work. C-Sal says women are waiting until they're too old. Coco Blade says that part, we're preparing for men who aren't prepared themselves. And then by the time you have a man on a higher socioeconomic level, we're wondering, why do they marry other women? Because those are the women they're around on that level. And then those women are the women who are used to being provided for and protected by their fathers and men. So these are women who are in touch with them.
So I was pointing down because I wanted to talk, she said the socioeconomic level. And again, remember, most of her argument hasn't really brought up the socioeconomic. And that's why, on this channel, I do try to bring it up. I know it's very painful for certain people, but it does matter. Socioeconomics matters because it's how you were brought up, it's how you see the world. It's just like I've said before. I mean, if somebody out there is calling me an educated lame because I went to college and because, I want to be a father to children that were basically birthed by me, and they're saying that is not the thing of a good man, that is showing you that even though we might make the same amount of money, or even if she's at that six figures and I'm a little higher, whatever we are at, she doesn't have the same background. She's not prizing the thing of a man that comes home and doesn't cheat on her. Instead, she's prizing the thing of a fun man that does fun stuff, and through that, now I'm taken out of it. And then that opens the door for men that don't take care of her, that will just, hit it and quit it and do everything else.
They're feminine, who men prefer. And so black women are sitting here stuck because we're frustrated and hurt. And we've been walked over and taken advantage of and hurt and broken. And we're having to do all the work to heal that. But then you're frustrated and overwhelmed, raising kids by your black man that's not there for you, that you tried to make a life with. Single mothers, we know it's an epidemic. Single mothers don't make themselves single all by themselves. Black men are not in the home.
So I just want to say something on that. Again, you guys know it's a Christian channel, so this is where I plug out. Get married, get married, get married. Oh, get married. I mean, seriously, I do always have to plug out. One of the easiest ways to fix, single motherhood is make sure that you got a ring on your finger, before he start diving up in you. I'm just being real. So, I mean, I know people don't want to do it. I've talked about this before. It's hard, even as any man out here just trying to get women to wait 90 days, let alone maybe a year, in order to get married. But you got to do your best with it, because that is one of the main issues. Is you really need to get into that marriage union, because it's better for you, it's better for the children, it's better all the way around.
Raising their kids. Are there some of you? Yes. And we applaud you. But the statistics say, in overwhelming numbers, that black fathers are the number one fathers that are absent. Absent. So guess what, black women? You fall into this can't win. You gotta be mom, dad, provider, protector. You gotta do it all yourself. Well, what energy does that put you in? Masculine. Then you're exhausted. Now you're frustrated. Then they want to say you're angry. Vicious cycle.
Now, I will say it's a cycle. And I think it starts, unfortunately, as young as 13 years old. I almost did a video on it. I decided not to because I thought that, without a lot of context, it might be hard for a lot of people to actually absorb that. But unfortunately, I do think it's a cycle. And I agree with her. And I think it starts, generally when girls can be as young as, 11, 12, 13 years old, because they're exposed to certain things. And they many times believe that this is the right path. But I also will say, again, there are a lot of black men who are over 35 that have zero children. Zero. So what you have a lot of times is you have one man that has been with 3 different women or 4 different women, and he has birthed children in all of those women. So when you have all these women saying, oh, all these women have babies, it's not always, like I say, these good men. It's a lot of times is these bad men making their rounds.
What I'm saying is, if you are a black single woman and you want to be married, I'm tired of seeing you struggle. I'm tired of seeing you hitting your head against the wall. Nothing wrong with giving a good black man a chance. But it's time that we see more black women married. I've said it 100 times. I said it inside class. If I was to ever do another matchmaking business, I would do a matchmaking business for non-black men who want to marry black women.
So one of the things that I would say, if you're a black woman and you want to marry a black man, I think is very possible. But I think you have to get your eyes open and you have to start to pay attention to good black men and what they look like. One of the big tips that I can give you is, like I said, the good black man is not going to look like the bad black man. And if you've dealt with the bad black man for a while, just simply change your focus and then you'll see the good black man. I mean, they're really not hard to find. Like I said, they're everywhere. Now, it might not be what, depending upon, like I say, your friend group, it might not necessarily be what you think. I found that, especially when I first started to date after my divorce, the first 2 or 3 women I went out with, they were kind of looking at me a little bit funny, and every one of them has always said that, I act different. But then I've had half of them say that they barely clicked on me, when they found me on the dating app, that they barely clicked. They was like, oh, well, I'll try, and that's really what like the first 3 of them said. They were just like, well, I'll try, and that's the problem. See, the good black man standing you right in the face looks like a good black man, walks like a good black man, but literally the very first woman that I dated, she said, yeah, I thought you were lame. I thought you were going to be lame. And then when she was around me and I'm doing stuff, and I remember one time I was just driving down the street and I was trying to get around some traffic, and she was just like doing this number here because I think I hit 60 in a 45, which I probably shouldn't have done. But she was just like big-eyed and was like looking at me smiling and like, wow, yeah, I didn't think you was going to be like this. I didn't think you were going to be normal. She was thinking I was going to be okay. Are you okay? Okay. See, she thought that was going to be like that, but it doesn't work that way. Okay. I don't sag my pants. I don't wear, sports stuff all the time. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. I told you, I don't not own a pair of J's. But at the same time, I'm not like these guys that walk around wearing suits all the time. Okay, that's not me either. I'm a normal guy. I walk around with a shirt and jeans on most of the time and some kind of shoe, right? I literally, most of the time, would just blend into the background. And most of the guys that are the good guys, they blend into the background. You don't necessarily see them. It's one of the main reasons why I do encourage men to, level their clothes up a little bit. Because I've noticed once I started to level up my clothes a little bit, I could walk into places and I would get more women to actually pay attention to me. Because now I'm a little bit more trendy. And so now they're like, oh, here he is. He's right there. And see, that's one of the issues. Black women, even though, I know I'm always, telling men to level up and women to level up, I still hope that black women can understand that right now I only have 2,500 followers. So it's a whole lot of black men ain't doing what I'm talking about. So if you're a black woman out there, you just need to look for the guy that you normally wouldn't look for. And that's really it. Most black men are not trying to shoot nobody. A lot of black men don't know anything about hip hop. They might listen to a rap every blue moon. Lots of black men are nerdy. Lots of black men like to hike. Lots of black men, might be, foodies and they like to go to different restaurants. Okay. There are black men that like to travel. There are black men, that are, fascinated with bugs or whatever it is. I even ran into a black man that collects those pop things with the big heads and the little bodies. I ran into black men that collect them, right? Literally hundreds of them things. All right. There are black men that do everything. They do everything white people do. Okay. And you have to see those black men. Stop seeing the trendy black men. Stop seeing the hip hop black men. Stop seeing the fully suited up black men and just see the normal black man. And when you see the normal black man and you're doing what you need to do, and then now you've got 8 out of 10, it's 8 of them, and it's 10 of you. Now you start to see them and you start to pick out. And a lot of these guys, they don't have that super experience that some of these other dudes have. They not having babies all over the place because they the dude that everybody look past. All right. And those are the dudes that's complaining. Those are the dudes that's going overseas. Right. So anyway, I did like this video. I might do some more with her because I did find I could drop some nuggets in as we went on. I do respect her. I think she has a lot going on for herself. But I just don't agree with her numbers on this. And I find that that's really where a lot of times I disagree, because I just feel like with women, for the women watching me, if you're doing what you need to do, you're going to pop to the top. And when you pop to the top, then you can be selective about your men. But you have to be able to see the good men first. And it's like I said, 9 times out of 10, I am in a shirt and jeans. That's it. That's how I'm walking around the world. And so if I'm walking up through Target or through Walmart or through the mall, and I got my shirt and my jeans on my belt and my, basic shoes on, like I say, these ain't no J's. They might be some Nikes, but they might be the $70 Nikes. Okay. And if you don't see me, if you walk right past me, then that's why I say your good man picker ain't working, because you're supposed to know the good man. And you're not supposed to know the bad man. And like I said, when I was in college, I did have a lot of women was checking me out then. And then I've been in certain spaces where women kind of understand good men, and then those women will be coming after me real quick. But then I've been in other spaces, just the average space, and black women just walk right past. So you got to understand what the good man looks like. You got to see him all around you. You got to see him in church. You got to see him wherever you go. And then, like I said, if you do that, I think a lot of this stress is going to leave you. But another thing, remember Rebecca Lynn Pope, she's lived a life, it ain't many people going to live that life. And you also have to remember, like I said, she has done her best to stay as close to 10 as she could possibly be. She's not trying to take care of any children. And so she's at a place where it's different. And remember, she's been married before. And we don't know the reasons why those relationships did not work. I'm not beating her up about it, but I'm saying that a woman trying to raise children with a man is totally different than 2 full adults that are not worried about children anymore. They're only worried about, being upwardly mobile. Anyway, please like and subscribe. I'm going to see you all in the next video.